folk with health care don't want you to have health care. I never understand why those with money don't want you to be able to get any money. Come on.
Now, your first warning weather forecast from Western Mass News.
Well, some patchy fogs into the morning, then developing sunshine. A comfortable start, but a very warm afternoon. It'll become more humid as the day goes on as well. High temperatures near 90. For tonight, it'll be mild and muggy with temperatures near 70. Then for tomorrow, lots of sunshine. It'll be hot and humid. Temperatures into the mid-90s. Same deal on Wednesday. Plenty of sunshine, hot and humid with high temperatures in the middle 90s. With your Western Mass News first warning forecast, I'm meteorologist Dan Brown.
90.7 FM WTCC First Class Radio presents the 4th annual End of the Summer Promotion. It's the 4th annual End of the Summer Promotion. Here's how it works. If any staff member of 90.7 FM WTCC spots you anywhere wearing a WTCC t-shirt, they will give you a ticket. Be sure to hold on to that ticket. Hold on to that ticket. Your ticket will be entered into a drawing for an opportunity to win big. Stay tuned to 90.7 FM WTCC for more details on the exciting prizes in store for 3rd place, 2nd place, and 1st place winners with the correct ticket. The drawing will be held on Monday, September 10th at 6 p.m. Monday, September 10th at 6 p.m. You will have 24 hours to claim your prize. Again, you will have 24 hours to claim your prize. Good luck. It's the 4th annual End of the Summer Promotion from First Class Radio, 90.7 FM, WTCC, WTCCFM.org.
This program has been underwritten by the Springfield Public Schools. Are you registering a child to start at Springfield Public Schools for the 2018-2019 school year? Avoid the line and pre-register online. The online process allows families to enter the student's information prior to the official registration process, saving you precious time. To register your new student online, www.springfieldpublicschools.com. www.springfieldpublicschools.com. Avoid the line. Pre-register online. WTCC would like to thank the Springfield Public Schools for underwriting with us.
WTCC would like to thank all of our past, present, and future underwriters for your support. Your support continues to assist WTCC with the necessary equipment and tools that are essential to continue our first-class radio station. WTCC 90.7 FM has been a benefit to many businesses and organizations, as you have been a benefit to us. We would like to continue to forge ahead, developing new relationships and partners by offering you an opportunity to underwrite various programs. Our demographic profile is diverse, local, regional, and national. We can assist you with your marketing and advertising needs. Our rates are competitive. For more information, Andrew K. 413-755-6180 or AKWTCC-FM715@gmail.com.
All right, I need y'all to be sharing, okay? .7 WTCC. Good morning. Welcome to the Spoken Word. 413-736-27 781. Welcome everybody who's watching us live on YouTube, everybody who's watching us live on Facebook Live. Got my announcements out the way. Let me get into this. Silence of black voices. Back in the 1900s, Marian Anderson, who was a critically acclaimed singer in both the United States and overseas. Her popularity was growing. She attempted to perform in concert at the Constitution Hall in Washington, D.C. in 1939. But the Daughters of the American Federation, they didn't want to have this black lady, performing. And they owned the hall. So in essence, what they did, they refused to allow the concert to take place because of her race, simply because of the fact that she was black. With the help of First Lady Eleanor Roosevelt, Anderson performed outdoors on the steps of the Lincoln Memorial in front of a crowd of 75,000 people in what has been referred to as the most famous concert, one of the most famous concerts in the history of the United States of America. It was a classic example of trying to silence a black voice in Florida, in Alabama, in Tennessee, back in the 90s. Law enforcement officials targeted stores that sold records from Two Live Crew. They had a record as nasty as they want to be. I didn't particularly care for it, but, this is America, right? Freedom of speech and all of that kind of stuff. But a federal judge said it was obscene. It was the first time obscenity law was ever used in relation to a sound recording. The decision was overturned by an appeals court, and the members of Two Live Crew had been arrested in Hollywood for performing their album at an adults-only show, but they were later acquitted. That happened throughout the history of hip-hop. If you talk about other African-American artists that had been targeted, NWA, Public Enemy, and some others, silencing of black voices. Throughout history, there has always been a problem with black freedom, always been an attempt to silence black voices. Martin Luther King Jr.'s famous letter from a Birmingham jail was really in response to 7 white preachers in Alabama who encouraged him not to be an outside agitator. Don't come here to Birmingham with your nonviolent protesting and just kind of wait, for things to change. Just be quiet, calm down, and his letter really was addressing the fact that there was this attempt to silence black voices. Eventually, he was silenced through assassination, as was Medgar Evers and so many other black leaders. We can go into the world of sports, and we can talk about Muhammad Ali, who spoke out against the Vietnam War, stripped him of his heavyweight title, sentenced him to prison to silence black voices. Colin Kaepernick, who decided to take a knee to protest police brutality and misconduct and the extrajudicial murder of black people in America. And they silenced or tried to silence his voice by blackballing him from the NFL. No team will touch him because of his protest. There's always been an attempt, always been an effort by white supremacists, by even white moderates and white liberals who feel uncomfortable with the conversation about race if you don't put a caveat in there to exclude them, to silence black voices of dissent. I've been on the receiving end of attempts to silence me for a long, 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 long time. Long time. Long time. And it goes back to the days of when I was on a college campus throughout today. I'm on the air. All right. And so, you know, whether I was on the college campus at UMass fighting against their investment in South Africa, in apartheid South Africa, whether it was a district attorney threatening to trump up charges against me if I did not make a statement apologizing to the police department for my uncompromising criticism of police brutality. It just runs the gamut, whether it was police officers sitting outside my house on a daily basis, which I've experienced, always an attempt to silence black voices. The most recent decision to try to silence me was by social media giant Twitter, who decided to ban me from their site for my candid declarations about racism, white supremacy, Donald Trump, the hypocrisy of right-wing evangelicals. And so a number of right-wing bigots, trolls, and bots mass reported my tweets to Twitter, and they decided that my conduct was hateful. It was hateful conduct because I criticized white supremacy. I criticized black people who parroted alt-right racist talking points against black people. And, you know, white offense or discomfort is nothing new. It's the specific reaction that white people have to discussions of racism when they're not specifically excluded from the offending group. And that even entails white liberals who, if you talk about white people, but you don't specify that you're not talking about them, even they get offended and go on the offense against you. They have a need for you to say, not all white people. It's a knee-jerk reaction, causes them to lash out in anger, to derail a conversation, or to shut a conversation completely down around the original issue. The arguments tend to focus on what good people they are and how it's not fair for you to talk about white people in the way that you talk about white people. And really, this reaction doesn't do anything but to help the bottom line of white supremacy, because white supremacy works best when nobody talks about it. That's why you get these folk who say racism would end if y'all would just stop talking about it. Because, you know, just it'll go away. No, it won't go away. It will allow white supremacy to continue to thrive because it works best when people are silent about it. It thrives in silence. All right? It is enhanced in silence. And then there's this proclivity for white folks to try to define terms on the basis of how they use the terms. This argument has been going on ad nauseum. Twitter says on their site regarding hateful conduct that context is everything. Yet it allows white supremacists to define how it interprets what black people say. And we know there's a difference, whether you agree or not with the use of a particular term. You know there's a difference when black people use it than when white folks use it. You understand there's a difference. And many of you don't believe that the N-word should ever be used. And I respect that opinion. But even you who are of that opinion, you understand that there's a distinct difference when a black person uses the word and when a white person uses the word. When a black person uses the word, many of them have said they use it as a term of endearment or something. And when white folks use the word, it's a pejorative term. When we use the word coon, which I've used the word coon. And we know that when a white person uses the word coon, it is a pejorative, racist term like the N-word. When a black person uses the word coon, they're using it in the context of referring to another black person as a traitor, a Benedict Arnold, someone who has turned their back on their own people, on their community, someone who is working in the best interest of white supremacy against the best interest of black people. We understand that when we use that word, it is not a racist term, but it is a term that we have appropriated to refer to what we call sellouts, Uncle Toms, etc. Yet somehow Twitter has allowed white supremacists to define that word as a racist term to protect conservative right-wing black folk. Folk like Candace Owens, folk like Paris Denard, folk like Stacey Dash, folk like Ben Carson, people who have embraced white supremacist ideology against the best interests of their own people. When they're called coons, they come out in defense of their pet black people, Diamond and Silk and the Hodge twins and those folk. They come out in defense of them, yet these same white folk, these same white supremacists who have a problem when you call one of their pet token black people a coon, right? They have no problem defending Donald Trump calling a black woman a dog. These same folk. And yet Donald Trump didn't get banned from Twitter for calling a black woman a dog. These same people defend Roseanne calling a black woman a gorilla. And we know the racist overtones of calling black people primates, gorillas and monkeys and apes. Yet these same white folks who mass report you for speaking the truth about black folk who sell out their people defend white folks who use pejorative racist terms against black folk. And yet Twitter didn't ban Roseanne Barr for calling a black woman a gorilla. And it wasn't the first time she used pejorative racist terms. I mean, Trump every day uses pejorative terms and abusive and displays abusive behavior. Yet, he's not banned on the site. I mean, how hypocritical is that? I mean, over and over again, we see how they're trying to silence black voices. Good morning, caller. You're on the air.
Yes. Pastor Swan, I mean, when it comes to racist names, it's nothing wrong with racist name because people changes people's spirit all the time. But in the event of using a racist, unnatural name term, you still don't have to let your life predict the outcome or reality of the thinking of the ideology. I mean, I call a Caucasian cracker when I get in that type spirit. But when I come face to face or when I'm out in public, I don't let my actions or my disposition dictate dictate my mood at that time.
All right. Thank you so much for your call. 413-736-2781. 413-736-2781. Twitter has been widely criticized for a passive response to being used as a platform for people promoting objectionable ideas, particularly white supremacists. You remember the rally in Charlottesville last year where Heather Heyer lost her life. That rally was fueled by Twitter users. It supposedly had reviewed its rules for users lately, and it said that it believed in the freedom of expression and open dialogue. Freedom of expression, open dialogue. And then it said that if voices are silenced because people are afraid to speak up, that would be a problem. And in order to ensure that people feel safe expressing diverse opinions and beliefs, they prohibit behavior that crosses the line into abuse. If you harass, intimidate, etc. No tweet that I have ever tweeted has harassed, intimidated, threatened violence toward people on the basis of race, sexual orientation, religion, gender, or anything else. This is what their hateful conduct policy states. Nothing I've tweeted violated the hateful conduct policy. So the question has to be asked, then why am I banned from the site? But Donald Trump and Roseanne Barr and Alex Jones, who has threatened and incited violence and used racist pejorative terms on multiple occasions, why are they still on the site? Why is it that white supremacists are still on the site, but you're silencing the voice of a black preacher over the word coon? Are you serious today, Twitter? Good morning, caller. You're on the air.
Good morning, Bishop. I'm one of your avid Twitter followers, and I also run an HBCU-related Twitter page, which promotes the excellence in HBCU communities as well as showing highlights on the Divine Nine and HBCU Greek life. Twitter constantly blocks our page and constantly suspends us. We've received racist threats. We've gotten DMs. We've tried to contact Twitter on those issues, and they've never done anything about those challenging accounts. But for some reason, they tend to always target those people of color-centered accounts more than they do those who are on the protagonist side, the pro-Trump side. They get all the clout and all the fame and all the glory, while us black voices are being silenced in our communities.
It's amazing because you may be aware of the fact that just recently they gave a verified blue check mark to Jason Kessler. This guy was the creator of the white supremacist Charlottesville rally that resulted in the murder of Heather Heyer and the brutal beating of DeAndre Harris at the hands of white supremacists. Basically, they're sanctioning him and elevating him to a certain status. Also, Alex Jones, who is a racist, alt-right, white supremacist, the creator of InfoWars, a conspiracy theorist. This is the guy who said that the Sandy Hook massacre was a hoax. This guy is so bad that Facebook banned him, YouTube banned him, Instagram banned him, but Jack Dorsey from Twitter felt like a 1 week suspension, slap on the wrist, was good enough for Alex Jones, even though he's violated their terms of service over and over again. He's back on the site, but I've been banned from the site as if my conversations about black empowerment and anti-black racism are as bad as this white supremacist?
Now, my thing is, I promote the historically black college life. I promote education for our young black men and women, and I promote going to historically black college. Now, my page got banned about 3 hours before yours did.
Are you serious?
I went on Twitter that same day, and I was able to see a young man getting shot in the head multiple times on the Twitter app. And the video's still up. And that video was posted on, like, last Thursday. That video is up. Yet they're silencing us black voices. So I feel as if we need to move from Twitter and get our own black social media apps, boycott them all together.
Absolutely. Do me a favor. Do me a favor. Are you on Facebook?
I'm on Facebook.
Hit me up. Send me an inbox. I'd like to get your information. I'd like to talk to you further.
Yes, sir.
All right. Thank you. Thank you for your call. 413-736-2781. Yeah, it was a week ago. Jack Dorsey from Twitter gave Alex Jones, a conspiracy peddling hate monger, a slap on the wrist and a license to continue to use his platform, as he has for the last several years, to harass the parents of kindergartners killed in Sandy Hook, to paint the Las Vegas shooting victims as actors, and to threaten Robert Mueller, the special counsel. I mean, he gives this white supremacist a platform, but I'm banned from the site? Really? Good morning, caller. You're on the air.
Yeah. That's just fun. I just wanted to share a little bit of thought. I mean, the only way out of this situation today is education or religion. Because, I mean, the way these crackers act, man, they killed Eric Gardner on national television. You seen no police officer choking that man, and the other officers encircled the other officers to shield the view. I mean, look.
It's definitely a problem what happened with Eric Garner. Thank you so much for your call. And what's happening to black folk all over the nation with extrajudicial murder by police. Good morning, caller. You're on the air.
Yes, good morning, sir. I'm just kind of weighing in on the subject that you're speaking of this morning. And my analogy is, you know, what white people need to do and a lot of our black people need to do is just kind of put in their minds, why do white people hate black people? You know, on the verses of, you know, black mothers have raised their kids and actually, you know, cook for them, you know, iron for them and all of this other good stuff. And then on the other side of it, made all of those older money in this country rich from, you know, farming, which tobacco, cotton, peanuts, and like that, and sharecropping. So my family came up doing that. And so now, to me, it boils right down to my analogy is that fear factor is there, that you've already overran them, that just don't want to give up the throne. So I just want to kind of weigh that out there. People need to realize that now you're already there. All you got to do is take that step and just say, like you always say, you know, don't let people bogart you, and they're never going to bogart me because I'm not scared, okay? So thank you very much.
All right, thank you for your call. 413-736-2781. Silencing black voices. And it's not just what's happening with Twitter and social media sites. It's what happens all of the time. It's the whole fear factor. I've got a meeting this Wednesday, 6 p.m. with the U.S. Attorney's Office, trying to get people there who have had certain experiences with the Springfield Police Department. How many of you will show up and let your voice be heard? And how many of you who talk about police brutality and misconduct in the barbershops and the beauty shops will either be too busy or too afraid to come and tell your story? Over and over again, we have been made to suffer in silence. And what the caller, my previous caller, said is important, that we need our own medium. And so that's what happens when white folks create mediums and platforms for dialogue and for conversation and etc. They really don't mean it for you. They want you on there because they want you, to be there to increase their users, the number of users, to be there to see their advertisers and all of the things that enhance their site, but they don't want your voice. They don't want. I participated recently. I spoke at a prayer breakfast and participated on a panel regarding Stand Your Ground down in Orlando, Florida, for the Democratic African American Women's Caucus. And the name of that particular conference was Our Voice, Our Vote. Our Voice, Our Vote. And the impetus behind that is many times Democrats and Republicans, but Democrats I'm going to focus on, want our vote, but don't necessarily want to listen to our voice. Are you following what I'm saying? And I found in my experience, even on Twitter, in my experience, what happened was not just conservatives who took issue with some of the things I said, but liberals as well. Those who were supposed to be fellow resistors, who were supposed to still be part of the resistance, they were just as offended because their white fragility showed up. They didn't recognize their white privilege, and certain things that were said offended them. I had people who decided they're going to unfollow me on both sides of the aisle. Because as one person said before, Democrats and Republicans are two sides of the same coin. I often say they're Republicrats and Demoblicans, that sometimes on particular issues, you can't tell the difference. There are distinct differences in platforms for sure in certain areas, but there are certain areas where there's not much of a difference. And like the brother said, we perhaps need our own platform where people don't come along and decide that white supremacists like Alex Jones has an important message that needs to be heard. So when he violates the terms of service, he gets a slap on the wrist. But when Bishop Swan or the brother who called in, when they don't even violate the terms of service, but get mass reported by white supremacists that somehow they need to be off the site altogether because the message that they are putting forth is not in the best interest of the users. And it's a frustrating thing when folk try to silence your voice. But, we shake it off and we keep on moving. Because, we were in the brush arbors. We were down in the fields long before there was a Twitter. That's one thing you need to understand. You can never silence the black voice. Because where there's a will, there's a way. Our message is going to get out, no matter how you slice it. Social media certainly has been beneficial in terms of the speed in which people are able to get information out and organize. But black folk have always been able to get their message out. No amount of silencing black voices will stop us from saying what needs to be said to our people. We'll get the message out there one way or another. You better believe that. They've tried from time immemorial to keep us quiet. But, as Puffy said, can't stop, won't stop. We're going to keep on moving. We're going to keep on going. We're going to keep on getting our message out there because we've got something to say that needs to be heard. 413-736-2781. I want to encourage you to make sure you get out to vote on September 4th here in the Massachusetts area. Many other primaries are taking place. My friend Andrew Gillum, who is the mayor of Tallahassee, Florida, is on the ballot in the Democratic primary in Florida for governor, and that race will be taking place on tomorrow. I had the pleasure of being with him a week ago as I was speaking in Orlando, and I want to encourage anybody who's listening from the Florida area to make sure that you get down to the polls and that you cast that vote for Andrew Gillum, because that race is going to be decided in the black community, that Democratic primary. There's so many people in that Democratic primary that somebody with 25% of the vote can walk away as the victor, because there are no runoffs in Florida. And so I'd love to see Andrew Gillum become the first black governor of the state of Florida. It's run around with these Republicans for so long. It's time for a change. I see a shifting in the winds that's happening around here. Well, I got to get out your way. Miss Cynthia Butler has just walked into the studio, and she's gearing up for some mid-morning jazz and some great black music. Want to remind you again of the 100th year celebration of the NAACP here in the Springfield area, and we'll have a celebration service, and the Reverend Dr. Atu White from Zion Baptist Church, Mount Zion Baptist Church, will be the keynote speaker. Great preacher, man of God. He's going to preach for us on that day. And that will be on September 11th. And then on the 13th, our celebration banquet. Listen, you don't want to miss the celebration banquet. I'm telling you, Bishop J. Lewis Felton, my friend, my brother, fellow Kojic bishop, brilliant scholar, theologian, and activist. He is the first vice president of the Philadelphia NAACP. He's going to be the keynote speaker. Get to our website, naacpspringfield.org, or go to our Facebook page, Greater Springfield NAACP. You can purchase your tickets right there. You want to get your tickets to this 100th celebration. It's going to be off the chain. And you want to be at that celebration service on September 11th. And also remember the Nova Scotia Convocation, September 5th through the 8th. And those of you who have a story to tell about your experience with the Springfield Police Department, I need you at the Spring of Hope Church, 35 Alden Street, this Wednesday at 6 p.m. The United States Attorney's Office will be there with lawyers, open discussion to listen to your experience. You want to be there. Got to get out your way. Until the next time I talk to you and you talk to me, always remember, God loves you, and so do I. Good morning.
Say his name.